This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The Pistons had probably the most embarrassing way to lose a game I've ever seen. The Lions embarrassed themselves on a football field. It's not really been a very good week for Detroit sports, has it?
The sports fan side of me is exhausted. Emotionally exhausted.
I am exhausted as a sports fan as well as a person after the holidays. So that out there. Or after Christmas, I should say. It hasn't even reached New Year's yet, but I always feel like, do you ever feel like this time of year, certain parts, like the sports, life in sports just really seems to slow down? Like, I feel like this week in sports is just really slow.
Yeah, because outside bowl games that don't really matter.
I more so mean, like, I feel like the gap in between games, even if it's like the next day or the day after, you know, every other day situation, feels so much longer.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's just so few, and I know the Wings quite literally haven't played since, like, I couldn't.
Yeah, NFL games they're more spread out because now you have Saturday in play, so like you don't have as many games on Sunday.
Right. But anyways, this is the Fan Report, where it's by fans.
For fans.
I'm Nick, and with me is Andrew.
Hola.
We are brought to you by Detroit Sports Podcast at Detroit Podcasts, where you can find them on Twitter. You can follow us at Real Fan Report on Twitter as well. This is episode number 185, and we are going to be talking about the Pistons' collapse against the Clippers the other night, along with kind of the outlook that we have for them. And we're going to talk about the Lions-Panthers game, and then we're going to look ahead to Chicago, and maybe a little bit of Green Bay and kind of some playoff scenarios here. I do have a correction to make from last week as well. I'll get to it when we talk about the Lions. But I also wanted to, in spirit of the new year coming up, I wanted to do Detroit sports New Year's resolutions. I know it is low-hanging fruit as a topic, and pretty much every single podcast / radio show in the world is going to be doing New Year's resolutions for their teams. But it's just fun. So we're going to do that anyways. But did you want to start with Pistons or Lions this week? There's no positives to look at for either one.
Well, let's get the Lions out of the way because they can at least look forward to something. With
That's fair. That's fair. So do you want to get...
Let's get the Pistons out of the way.
Pistons out of the way. Okay. Pistons collapsed up against the Clippers. They were up by 14 with 3 minutes to play, and then somehow managed to score 3 points the rest of the game, I believe, or 5 points the rest of the game.
They scored
like that.
They scored 3 in OT. They scored a couple more points at the end of the quarter.
That's what it was.
But
I don't really know how that's possible, especially considering it was largely against the Clippers' end of the bench. That makes it even worse.
That was a game that I had noticed, like it was the third quarter and the Pistons weren't collapsing. So I had just gone out to see a movie with my girl, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to swing by a sports bar and try to catch the end of this game. And really, I really wish I didn't do that.
Yeah.
At least I'm glad I had alcohol to wash it down while I was watching it.
I almost feel like that is a necessity as a Detroit sports fan. I'm curious. You know what? Honestly, I'd be curious to see the amount of give me a line graph of the amount of alcohol consumed over the last 10 years and see where it's grown among Detroit sports fans, because I feel like it is at its all-time high.
Aren't you glad this isn't the era we were growing up in?
I probably wouldn't be a Detroit sports fan.
Yeah. We were spoiled in the era of Detroit sports that we grew up.
We really were, because I mean, we grew up with championships. We grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s where we had 3 Wings we had 3 Stanley Cups. We had an NBA championship with the Pistons.
Yeah, the Tigers go to the World Series.
The Tigers go to the World Series
mid-late
twice.
2000s.
By the time we were out of high school, we had the Lions really do nothing. Let's be real. They made the playoffs a couple times. Woo. But we were, for the most part, spoiled growing up. And kids nowadays, I am curious to see how many kids have just not adopted Detroit sports because of that. But if I ever have kids, I will make sure they are Detroit sports fans. It is mandatory in my household. Thank you.
They will be brainwashed.
They will be. Absolutely. I will 100% make sure that happens with every tactic I can possibly have. But I'm honestly like, I was confused in how that type of comeback even happens. The Clippers gave up. They said, pack it in. We got another game to play, whatever, in a couple of days or next night, whenever the Clippers played next. Let's just take the guys out, put the bench in, and just give it up for the day. We'll fight another day. And then they proceeded to just dominate.
No, this is this and like the constant third quarter classes we've been seeing. This is
which they actually played really well in the third. They played great.
They clawed back in the third instead of blow it in the third. This is the product of having a bunch of guys on your team that have not seen winning basketball, don't know what winning basketball is. This is why I was saying
nobody on your team has seen winning basketball outside of Bojan Bogdanovic. So
this is why I was saying going into the season, I know how good Victor Wembanyama can be, but I don't know if this team can afford another season of being bad enough to be in a position to draft Victor Wembanyama. You're seeing the fruits of that right now. Like, This is a team that they don't know how to win basketball games at this point.
These are games that teams, as you were kind of saying, these are games that teams that know how to win games win. The Clippers know how to win games. They won. And they did it largely without Paul George. Kawhi didn't even play. They did it without their starters at the end. It was Moses Brown was in the game. You let Moses Brown beat you.
I mean, Paul George, let's be fair, he was probably the best player on the floor.
He was. Don't get me wrong. He was the best player on the floor in the game, but when the Clippers came back, he wasn't on the floor. He was done for the night. Guy was ready to go hit the showers. And then to only score 3 points in a 5-minute overtime, like, what the hell is going on there? You know who I feel bad for? I feel bad for Bogey. I do. Because he came from a winning basketball team in Utah. Like, he was playing meaningful basketball and making playoffs. He ain't even going to sniff it here. And by the looks of things, he ain't ever going to sniff it here. Not in his lifetime. Or his basketball lifetime, I should say. Because this team doesn't look close anymore.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to give up on Troy Weaver. I really don't. I'm done with Dwayne Casey. I honestly, you could have fired him after the game against Clippers and I'd be happy.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no redeeming qualities.
This team needs a shot in the arm. I think a new coach could at least
the problem for me is like, and I've seen a lot of people compare it to the Jeff Blashill situation with the Wings. The issue that I have and where the comparison kind of stops for me is like the Jeff Blashill situation kind of turned into a stale voice. You really can't say there's a stale voice with Dwayne Casey because nobody on this roster has been here for more than 3 years. There is no stale voice there. Like it's a brand new voice still. Like it's not brand new, but it's still a new voice. Only been a few years. So like, what is it with Dwayne Casey? Is he just utterly incompetent? Is the talent on this team really that bad? What is it?
Like it's weird because Dwayne Casey, his whole career, been known as a player development coach. And
there's my next question. And this is honestly, your job, and this is where I start to look. I start to have to take a look at Troy Weaver because your job as a GM is not only to bring in talent, but also to make sure it develops. He's brought in young talent through the draft, mind you. None of it's developed. Who right here, right now, of the guys he's brought in, which have any of them even gotten close to what we thought they could be? Can't say Cade. He's out for the whole year, and he's only had a rookie year, so we don't know if he's developing. Can't say, and obviously the guys the rookies are they're disqualified. You can't say that they've developed.
Stu is the only one you could really make an argument for.
Stu's the only one you can make an argument. Sadiq Bey has regressed. He sucks.
Killian Hayes is starting to show some life.
But he's not even close to what we drafted him to be, though.
Well, yeah. I don't think any Detroit sports fan expects Killian Hayes to be we drafted him initially to be the franchise point guard.
You hope he turns into a poor man's Marcus Smart at this point. That's what you hope.
Yeah.
But like going beyond what he's drafted, look at the reclamation projects he's brought in. Have any of them been any good? Marvin Bagley sucks. And you paid him in the offseason. He sucks.
Well,
Josh Jackson. Although Josh
Jeremy
Jackson
Grant had you.
Weaver
Jeremy Grant had you a first round pick.
Fine.
Josh Jackson he had his best season with Detroit, but that's not saying much.
No, he still sucked. Hamidou Diallo, he sucks. Like, of the reclamation projects you brought in, none of them have been very good. And I can't really consider Jeremy Grant a reclamation project.
Christian Wood had his best season with Detroit.
Isn't he still producing at the same level he was in Detroit?
I don't think so.
But what did Christian Wood net you in all reality? Sadiq Bey?
Well, yeah, you kind of it ended up being a sign trade with him, right?
I think it was a sign and trade. But I remember it not being like a great looking trade at the time. But anyways, like none of his reclamation projects work. None of his draft picks have worked out so far. Like none of his players have developed. Nobody's gotten better with him as the GM. And I know that, it's not all on Troy Weaver to do this. But you know what is all on Troy Weaver? The guys that he puts in place is all on him. If the guys that you have in place are not working because they're not developing these young players, why are they still here? Our shooting hasn't gotten better. It's honestly probably gotten worse over the past 3 years. Why do we still have the same damn shooting coach? Clearly something is not working here. And there doesn't seem to be a willingness to adjust.
Yeah.
And that's where I have to say, Troy Weaver, what are you doing? Because it goes beyond just bringing in talent for a GM. Their job goes beyond that. Troy Weaver's done a good job of accumulating potential assets. But it's turned into nothing. Hasn't turned into wins. Hasn't turned into superstars. Hasn't turned into really good players. You've got Cade Cunningham. Can you say anybody else on the roster is a really good player? Can you say anybody else on the roster is definitively going to be on a winning basketball team when this team starts winning? Because I'll tell you right
There's people you can say that you hope will be.
Exactly.
But definitively, no.
And has my hope grown since they've been drafted? No. Has my confidence in them grown since they've been drafted? No. That's a problem. And yeah, we can talk about how Jeremy Grant signing was great and netted you a first round pick. I don't really consider that a reclamation project. I consider that you gave a guy an opportunity to actually showcase his skill because he was limited in Denver. They didn't give him the freedom that he wanted. That's why he came here.
But for me, like I said before, I'm still in terms of my Troy Weaver hot seat readiness. I'm waiting to see what happens this offseason.
One of the biggest. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think for me, he needs to make some drastic changes this offseason. If he lets us go into the status quo going into next season, then I'm going to have some serious questions.
If you're Troy Weaver, how can you be confident in the way this is progressing?
Yeah.
You've won how many games over the last 3 years? Like you won 23 last year. How many did you win the year before? 20?
Yeah, I mean, I know, again, no Cade, but like,
Cade was the number one overall pick.
I said I know we have no Cade, but like I still feel like this team is like miles worse than last year's team. Even though the record doesn't say as much, but I do wonder what the point differential difference is between this.
They're the worst defense I think I've ever seen in Detroit. They aren't allowing an average
I don't disagree with that.
110 points. They're allowing an average of like 120. I was listening to 97.1 Ticket on my way home the other day. Can you take a guess over the last 10 games, how many times they held an opponent under 120 points?
I don't think they have.
Ding ding. They haven't. That's bad. To be successful in the NBA, and don't get me wrong, I don't expect this team to hold teams under 100. You don't do that anymore.
No.
But if you can hold them to like 105 to 108, you can win that way.
Yeah. No, I mean, like to put in perspective, the team with the lowest opponent point average is the Cleveland Cavaliers with 105.5, and they're pretty much a head above the next team in the Philadelphia 76ers, 108. So, you're not holding teams under 100. That's not the modern NBA. But 120 which is what they average, is still obscene.
That's obscene. Yeah. It's unbelievably bad. I've never seen anything like it in all reality. And
well, the Spurs are doing it too, but they're openly tanking.
yes.
And their roster is unquestionably worse than your roster. Like, that's
they also like are in year 1 of their rebuild. We are in year 3 or 4 now. Year 3, right? 3?
Yeah.
Year 3 now. You should be miles ahead of what the San Antonio Spurs are.
Yeah.
Miles, and you're not. That's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, you mentioned the Cavs. That's
and shit, you're on the verge of being worse. Like, record-wise, you are.
You are worse right now. And, you brought up the Cavs, and that's a team that I'm honestly going to compare the Pistons to here, because after LeBron left, they were in a very similar situation to what you were 3 years ago, in a total overhaul. LeBron gone, what did they have left? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because their roster was abysmal. They drafted Colin Sexton. They drafted Darius Garland. They were smart not to overpay Colin Sexton. They drafted Evan Mobley. They brought in Jared Allen, one of the smartest trades they could have made. And then they brought in Donovan Mitchell. They made sacrifices to build a roster, and they used their assets and built with their assets to create success. And how many years did it take them? 3? 4 maybe?
Their 4th year is when they started. They were 19 and 63, 19 and 46, and then 22 and 50 the third year, then 44 and 38 last year.
And this is Troy Weaver's 3rd season, correct? Well, 3rd basketball season, right?
Yeah, third season with the team. Yeah.
Okay. And then their 4th season is when they had Evan Mobley and started winning.
Correct.
I'm sorry, but there is absolutely zero.
So again, it's
that's
crunch time this offseason. That's what I'm saying.
That's doing it without a number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
You had one. That's a referendum on Troy Weaver in my mind.
It's crunch time this offseason, like I said.
You get this year to lose some basketball games. You don't get any more.
Yep.
This is it. You're done. Hot seat time. Like I really want Troy Weaver to succeed, and I was a huge believer in him, and you were as well. We've talked about how much we love Troy Weaver, how much confidence we had in him. We've loved every move he's made. Well, now that we're starting to see things through, we're poking a lot of holes in what he's done. His talent recognition may not be as good as we thought. His talent development is still clearly not there.
Or we might just need better coaching on this team. It's also a possibility that we can't ignore.
Okay, but is that not also on Troy Weaver?
Yes, it is. I'm not saying it's not, but
scouts, talent development, coaching.
But that's why Dwayne Casey for me is on the hot seat.
All on Weaver.
That's why Dwayne Casey's on the hot seat for me first.
But why did that take so long?
I think it's because of the rebuild environment.
Now. Like, he should be gone now.
I think it's because of the rebuild environment. I think the what has set a lot of fans off, including me this year, is there should be no point in rebuild where you're regressing. And it feels like we have regressed. And it feels like players on this team have regressed. Yeah. And that's where and then on top of that, just the god-awful defense you're seeing, which is fixable by coaching and scheming. So that alone, to me, is a fireable offense.
Casey should be gone. Frankly, I think having him continue to be around and play and live out the rest of the season is a detriment to the development of these players. I do. I don't think there's anything positive he is providing for this team anymore.
Yeah, no, I agree.
He should be done.
I still think that they give him the end of the year, but I don't agree with it. But I don't see a mid-year firing just because I see the
addition by subtraction in my mind.
I feel like they might be embracing the tank at this point. Like,
hell, why wouldn't you anymore? Like, where you're at now, why wouldn't you? But again, at what cost is that going to come? Yeah. Like, how bad are we going to let our young talent be coached for the rest of the year? Yeah. We shouldn't have to be going after another number 1 overall pick here.
And it's the beginning of the season. That's not my goal this year. As much as I like Wembanyama, it was not my goal this year.
Like, the difference between year 3 and year 4 with the Cavs, what did they add in terms of young talent? Nothing. They didn't.
Mobley.
From year 3 to year 4.
Yeah.
Mobley was year 3. Year 4.
From year... No, like, Mobley was...
You're right. I'm thinking of year 4 to year 5. But...
Yeah, they had anything year 4 to year 5.
None of that was a number 1 overall pick, though. Like,
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah. What Troy Weaver needs to do this offseason is go get somebody like Donovan Mitchell. That's what he needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Phoenix Suns, I heard you just got bought by Matt Ishbia. Hey, how about throwing us a bone? Devin Booker might want to change the scenery. Matt Ishbia can really sell him on Detroit. He's got to do something. If he's not using this offseason to bring in a superstar, or not even a superstar, just a really, really, really high-level player, a core 3 guy, then what are we doing here?
Yeah,
this is it.
That was my goal for this offseason.
This is it.
It still is. I've told myself I don't have my sights set on Victor Wembanyama. If we get him, awesome. But I'm not going to be sitting here draft lottery day like praying for that number 1 pick because.
Let me be straight here. If we're in the top of the draft lottery, like we have the highest odds, yes, I'm praying for the number 1 overall pick to bring Victor Wembanyama.
Okay,
am I going to be happy we're there? No.
I'm not hinging what the future of this team looks like anymore on where we land in the lottery. Like we got the young pieces, we got our number 1 pick already.
Right.
Like let's get moving now.
Right. No, I agree with you. Like we shouldn't be hinging on our future being with Victor Wembanyama. Our future should already be here at this point. And now you just need to bring in the final key piece. That's what it should be. So if you want to go off the Cavs timeline, fine. We're in a good position here.
And I think we'll come back to the Pistons with the New Year's topic at the end. But should we move on to the Lions?
Yeah, I got nothing else to say for the Pistons.
Yeah, I didn't want to milk it too much.
No, it's sad.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of sad, Lions came out on Saturday, and I don't know if you guys remember our last episode. We came on here and said, what's the key to beating the Panthers? Stop the run. They're going to try to run the ball against you. It's what their MO has been the last few weeks, and it's probably going to be that again. And not to mention the weather. You stop the run, you win this football game. What did the Lions do? They pulled their pants down, let the Panthers run up their ass. So I don't, it's literally when that game started and
the first run of the game
gashed us each for like 50 yards each. I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
This is happening, isn't it? Like, and what blows my mind the most is Dan Campbell came to the podium after the game and said that the Panthers did exactly what they expected them to do. So if they did exactly what you expect them to do, are you just saying you suddenly forgot how to stop the run? Like, I'm very confused.
They did exactly what you expected them to do. So your game plan was just that bad? And you had like, 0 adjustments for it?
Well, no, they did a better job in the second half. But
yeah,
it was too little too late at that point.
Also feel like this...
And the offense couldn't get anything going.
I also feel like Carolina's scheme got a little bit more simple in the second half in terms of the runs that they dialed up. But,
but once you get gashed for 200-yard rushers in the first half, I mean, it's pretty much over at that point.
Yes. Honestly, across the board defensively, they were just terrible. Like even in pass defense, they weren't very good. Darnold was very comfortable there, hitting his targets and doing what he had to do. Yeah, it helps when you're having your offense run for 300 yards, but it was just all across the board embarrassing defensively. Like I saw a lot of dudes on skates or get put on skates and just over pursue. And
the
then
amount of times we saw Alex Anzalone and Malcolm Rodriguez, to be fair, get caught flat-footed.
Oh yeah, and the amount of
when running backs in a hole.
The amount of missed tackles I saw in that game looked like Pee-wee football against the NFL.
I have a theory. I legitimately think that they were afraid to hit because of how cold it was, and it hurts just that much more when you're hitting in the cold.
If that's the case, they are softer than Charmin. Yeah. That is soft as hell. Man,
did you hear what Jared Goff said after the game?
No, I had to turn everything off after that one.
Well, no, I didn't see it live. I got no case on my phone, but he'd said that Carolina has to find a way to fix their turfs to make it feel like they're not hitting cement when they.
I did hear about how frozen the turf was and how it was like landing on. Come on, shut up! They have to play on the same damn field.
I'm saying, like, I get it sucks, but they play on the same damn turf you play on. There's no excuse.
Like, come on, honestly, I noticed something early in that game, and I think I mentioned it to you and our buddy Alex, where the Lions are clearly not an outdoor team.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you looked at the Panthers, they had like 2 players in sleeves. You look at the Lions, there wasn't a dude that didn't have sleeves on.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because, Detroit is a much colder weather city than Charlotte is.
They don't
but
play
at the
outdoors.
same time, they don't play outdoors.
Right. And they even practice indoors. Like, the Lions looked soft as hell.
How much more terrified does this make you for Lambeau in the game?
Oh, I am at the point where, like, did you not see the amount of confidence Aaron Rodgers had on his face in that interview? Like, that dude is, if the Lions are in a winner-take-all game against the Packers in Week 18, I'm terrified. And I'll be honest with you, the Lions will not be favored in that game.
We need Kirk Cousins to come through.
Yes,
really
desperately.
I'm about to be the biggest Kirk Cousins fan again. I'm about to be as big of a Kirk Cousins fan as I was when he was playing for Michigan State.
Same.
That's the level I'm at this point.
Desperately need him. And frankly, I want the Vikings to win for 2 reasons. One, because obviously I want the Packers not to have anything to play for in Week 18, but also because I want the Vikings to lock up the number 2 seed so that when we get into the number 7 seed, we're playing them come, the first week of the playoffs, the wild card round, because we can beat them again. Like I
did you see Washington is benching
I did
Heineke for Carson Wentz?
Heineke.
What is going on there?
I think that is one of the most bizarre decisions I have ever seen. I know Heineke's not been great. However, the team has been a hell of a lot better with him than with Carson Wentz. Totally different team.
But other teams are doing their best to help you.
Yes. They all lost this past weekend.
Yeah.
You lost, but so did they. You still need the same exact things right now.
We could have been controlling our own destiny right now.
And it is. You kind of still, you're in the same scenario this upcoming week as you were last week. You need Washington to lose another game. You need Seattle to lose another game. If those things happen and you win, you're in the playoffs. You have a playoff spot because they both lost this past week.
Yeah.
So
you didn't lose any ground, but at the same time, you could have been a much better spot.
Yeah, you could have been in the playoffs at this point.
Yeah.
And instead, you decide to give up 300,000 yards on the ground against what apparently looked like prime Walter Payton and Barry Sanders out there because, Jesus, I have never seen I've never seen such a dominant running situation, like a dominant running game.
I actually considered in my FanDuel lineup playing Dante Foreman, and I was like, you know what, Lions have actually been pretty decent stopping the run between Saquon and Dalvin. I'm like, I know he's probably going to get a lot of touches, but I'm not going to do it. Should have done it. Should have done it.
Hell, you'd have been pretty happy starting both him and Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, right?
It was just...
But yeah, and the offense couldn't get anything going at all. Even once the defense finally picked up in the second half.
And
the offense didn't help him out.
Jared Goff played a good game. He did.
Oh, I don't put this on Goff.
No, I don't either. They did not lose because of him. However... Yeah. He couldn't make a lot of key throws. And I also, I'm at a point with Goff where I do think you need to bring him back next year just because of the state of the quarterbacks in the NFC, 1. And 2, because I don't like what's in the draft. And 3, because he's a guy you can win with. However, I don't think he's a guy you can win because of.
Exactly.
He's a guy who can win you football games if everything around him is in a really good situation.
Yeah.
If your defense is really good, if your running game is good, if your receivers are really good, and he needs a really good O-line, you can win with him there. He won't hurt you. However, he's not a guy you can have him put you on your back and take you to the promised land. He ain't going to do that.
Yeah, it's Jared Goff is you're not going to just get rid of him to get rid of him, but he's also a guy I don't think you should get too comfortable with.
No, he's a bridge guy.
Problem
is we just don't know what the other side of the bridge is at this point.
And then this Sunday we got Chicago coming into town. Just real quick, do you know what the over/under is on this game?
I do not. I haven't looked at it yet.
Do you want to take a stab?
In Detroit, 48.5, 46.5. It's
the highest total of the week by a decent margin.
Really?
At 52.5.
Wow.
It surprised
the
me.
Bears?
Yeah.
The Bears. We're talking about the same Bears, right?
Yep. And the Lions are still favored. When we recorded last, it was -6.5. It's now -5.5, which it basically has been since.
What'd you say it was?
Game. The spread or
the spread?
-5.5.
-5. Lions -5.5.
Mm-hmm.
Have the Bears put up 30 points in a? Yeah, they put up 30 against the Patriots. Mm-hmm. Really? 29 against Cowboys. 32 against Dolphins.
What are we talking? Implied total like 34-29 Detroit. Is that? No, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
No, I did the math wrong in my head.
It'd be like
24-19.
28-24.
I can't do math right now. Yeah.
That'd be
20-23. Yeah.
That'd be 52. 28-24.
29-24. There you go.
All right.
Yeah, 28-29-24. Yep. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, the reason I brought up the total though is, does seeing a total that high for this game worry you at all?
No, it actually makes me feel a little bit more comfortable.
Oh, okay.
Because that, if it were an outdoor game and it was that high, yeah, I'd be kind of scared. Mm-hmm. But because it's in Ford Field, it's indoors. Like I have a feeling that the way they're looking at this is the Lions are going to be able to put up points, and I don't think the Bears can put up points at the same level. Mm-hmm. I know Justin Fields has been a lot better since the last time we saw him, and really that was the first time he kind of had his breakout.
Yep.
But I'm still not confident in Justin Fields' throwing ability. I am confident in Lions' ability to put up points. Like I am. And
I do wonder if they take a page out of Carolina's book and just run up the gut,
pound the rock. Thing is do the Bears have a?
David Montgomery's been pretty damn good this year.
He has, but their offensive line is not good. Mm-hmm. The Carolina Panthers' offensive line is good, quite good. I also don't think the Bears' defense is anywhere near as good as the Panthers' defense either. So
That's true.
And the other thing is, like, I don't think the Bears are ever going to be in a situation where they get out to a 2-touchdown lead and they can continue to stay in a tempo. Granted, the Lions did come back from 17 against them last time, so I could be wrong there. But that was in Chicago. I don't think the same thing happens in Detroit. Like, Jared Goff is a different quarterback at home than he is on the road. Mm-hmm. He's much better. I think the Lions should be able to kind of take care of business in this one. They match up well. I know Justin Fields can run all over the place, but I don't think he himself is going to beat you. I don't.
So you take the Lions -5.5?
I do. I'll take the Lions -5.5. I can see the Lions winning this game like 30-20. Like I'd probably take them up to a touchdown. Honestly, maybe a -6.5 I'd take. But yeah, I don't see the Bears really being that big of a threat to the Lions in this one.
Yeah, I didn't bet last week's game because I wasn't comfortable with it.
No,
even with the low spread. But at this thing, but in my head, I was like, but next week, like I'm pretty comfortable laying the points at home against the Bears.
It's just the Lions are
so scarred from last week's game. I'm kind of like scared to do.
If the Lions lose this game against Chicago, I'll be extremely disappointed because then I'm wondering where's that 8th win coming in.
Yeah,
because I'm less confident against the Packers than I am against the Bears. Like, are we going to get that 8th win that I've asked of Dan Campbell? And if we don't, then I'm saying I've said it. Dan Campbell's in the hot seat next year for me. Like,
losing Week 18 against Green Bay in a basically playoff game, basically.
Yeah.
Like it's expected.
Right. You will. Think about it this way. You will not be favored going into that game in a winner take all. You will not be favored.
I can tell you what the spread is right now.
Winner take all matters.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like right the current spread, I can tell you where it is. Maybe I can tell you where it is.
You are favored by almost a touchdown against the Bears. You will not be favored going up against the Packers in Green Bay in Week 18 in a winner take all.
FanDuel has not released odds for that. They released 4 games for that.
They're probably waiting to see if there's a winner take all.
Exactly. And like you said, that impacts quite a bit.
Yes, it does. Because if Green Bay loses this week and they're out, they're probably not playing Aaron Rodgers, and that's a big difference.
There is, via DraftKings, Detroit Lions +3.5 next week.
That's very intriguing to hop on, just because if Green Bay loses, like you could get a potential favorite at
and you get that north of a field goal.
Yeah. Like, because if Green Bay loses this week against Minnesota, which I'll be honest with you, I don't think they will, then you're looking at a situation where you're getting 3.5. Like at the very least, that's got to come down to like 1.5. It's got to be almost a pick 'em if Aaron Rodgers is not playing.
So what, do you roll a dice and sprinkle some money on that right now?
It might be worth doing. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like, and you know what? Like the best bettors out there, the good bettors in the world, will tell you that is how
anticipate.
Well, that is how you get the best value. Is you get the line at its earliest possible because the books haven't adjusted yet. So that is where you see your highest EV is right when the line drops.
It can also come back to bite you in the ass too, but
right,
because it could adjust the wrong way.
Right. So
something could come up.
One thing I wanted to correct from last week is we were talking about playoff scenarios and tiebreakers and what could be a potential tiebreaker between the Lions and the Packers come week 18. Granted, I don't think that's even possible anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But we talked about how we went through head-to-head, best one-loss, division record, common opponents, conference record, strength of victory in all games. The strength of victory in all games we said was point differential. It's not. It is your opponent's record in games you won. So it's your combined opponent's record in games you won. And then it was strength of schedule in all games, just your opponent, your opponent's record overall. So that fifth tiebreaker, actually, the Packers at this point in time are ahead of the Lions.
Yeah.
So if there were to have been, but again, because of the Lions lost last week, I don't think there's a tiebreaker scenario possible.
Because you got to beat, like, if you lose to the Packers, you're out. If you beat the Packers, you're in at this point.
Right. Yes. This likely could end up being a winner take all, where you either are 9-8 or you're 8-9. Now, let's not look too far ahead because we're on to Chicago. We're on to the Bears.
On to Chicago.
On to the Bears. Got to beat Chicago. So Andrew, give me the way that the Lions beat Chicago this week.
The same way they should have been able to beat the Panthers. You got to have a stout run defense. The Bears are going to try to run the ball with Justin Fields. I mean, it's obvious that's what they've been doing. That's what they're going to try to do. That's what they did last time they played you. And I believe last time they played you,
he had like
he ran all over you.
Rushing yards,
he ran all over you. And it took a shootout to beat them. But
the odds makers are expecting another one.
Yeah. But no, like I don't want to say let Justin Fields do what he does on the ground. Just don't let him beat you in the air, because it's kind of the opposite of what I would, which is kind of what they did. But that's kind of the opposite of what I would game plan for. I would say I'd rather Justin Fields have to rely on his arm than on his legs. But I don't know if you have the linebackers to contain him. But just don't get beat on the ground. That's your key to victory.
I think one key to victory that the Lions are going to have this time over against the Bears is I think they got to get out to a faster start. You've got to get out to a lead in this game early, potentially a two possession lead against the Bears, because last time at halftime it was 10-10. And then the Bears in the third quarter got out to a big, a 2-touchdown lead, 14 points, and then they added a field goal onto that to have a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter, and then the Lions battled back. I don't think you can afford to do that again. I think you've got to get out to an early lead. You got to set the tone. Because if you do, say you do get out to a 10 or 14-point lead, that makes the playbook a lot less friendly to the Bears offense. Yeah. They're not able to set the tone with the run game. They're forced to have Justin Fields be uncomfortable and pass the football.
Yeah.
Which at that point, I think the game's in your hands. So you've got to limit your mistakes on offense and get out to an early lead, and I think you should be able to take advantage of this one.
Yeah, I think you make a good point, because it did come down to us having to have a 21-6 rally in the fourth quarter to beat them last time, and you probably could avoid all that had you started a little bit better. Yeah, I am not afraid. This is not the Bears defense of old. I'm not afraid of this
Bears
not the
defense.
85 Bears. And I still feel like this is a pretty one-dimensional offense that is going to, just like I felt with Carolina, it's a one-dimensional offense. You can predict the looks they're going to throw at you. You're going to get hurt by them. Just don't get beat by them.
Right.
God, that's not like coach speak.
That was pretty solid coach speak. I won't lie. But the Bears are on a...
Who in our linebacking, like, do you put a nickel corner on as a spy? Like, what do you...
I think you've got to have a couple of guys playing in.
They play the nickel most of the time.
The way you can work it is maybe you run a little bit more of a contained pass rush as opposed to a blatant all-out pass rush. Like you have your linebackers and your ends working to contain and keep them in the pocket. When you can keep Justin Fields in the pocket, he's not as dangerous.
Yeah.
And then maybe you have a middle linebacker, a safety spine up the middle. It just he is dangerous with his legs and a hell of a lot more dangerous with his legs than he is with his arm. That's kind of just a fact. I mean, he threw for 167 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, but he ran for 147 and 2 touchdowns. Like he was really good on the ground, not so great in the air, And frankly, I think if you're able to get 2-3 touchdowns out of Jared Goff, I firmly do believe you can beat him. You can win this game if your offense is producing because it forces Justin Fields into a shootout. That is not a comfortable scenario for him. They're on an 8-game losing streak for a reason. They don't necessarily want to win games. They want that number 2 overall pick. They want Will Anderson. So, I know they want to beat their in-division rival here. I get that. But just take care of business. Keep Fields in the pocket. Pressure him, get in his face, make him uncomfortable. Don't let David Montgomery beat you, and just have your offense get into a rhythm. Score the football this week. If you can score the football, you will win this football game.
Yep.
They have not, any game that they've had both teams go above 30 points, they have not won a single one.
Yeah.
Any team, I think that's true with 25.
I just don't know if I lay the 5.5. That's all. I think
I'm laying the 5.5. You're looking at a Chicago team I don't think is motivated to win. I firmly believe that. They want that number 2 overall pick. I don't think Justin Fields...
The money differential does indicate Lions, so...
Public money or sharp money?
No, just bet to money.
That's usually public money.
Yeah.
Which I tend to fade the public, but... So to give you an idea...
Sharp money, at least according to Action Network, is on Chicago.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going against the Sharps this week.
Seeing very different statistics on Action Network versus looking at FanDuel's.
Well, Action Network goes off of BetMGM only, I believe. They don't use any other books. They only
use DraftKings.
Is it DraftKings now? I don't know what. I know it's only off of one book. They don't they don't do a conglomeration of all the books.
Just a quick side note, I guess. So on FanDuel, it's 59% of the bets on Detroit, 75% of the money, a 16% differential. On whatever Action Network is referencing, 48% of the bets on Chicago, 92% of the money.
So it's just a different book. And it probably is the line difference there. There's probably a line difference.
Plus 6.
That's why. All right. Now you get a big line difference. That's why. Okay. So that makes more sense. But so looking at it, though, if you can get the Bears into a shootout, you're going to win this game. The Bears have not won a single game where both teams have scored 25 points or more.
Yeah.
So versus you, I believe the Lions have actually won multiple games where both teams have scored 25 points or more. They're not so great in those games. Loss, win, loss, win.
Great podcasting.
Loss. And that's the last one. So they've won a couple.
Was that 2 wins?
Yeah, 2 wins and I think about 4 losses. So, but either way, I think the Bears can't contain you in a shootout. They can. They just don't have the passing offense for it versus I think you do.
So how many New Year's resolutions are we doing?
As many as you want. We got time here. We got plenty of time. We can move on to New Year's resolutions. So are you laying the 5.5 or are you not? Are you just not doing it?
Probably just not doing it.
Are you teasing it? What are you teasing it down to?
If I were to tease a favorite, 3.5. I'd buy 2 points.
A lot lower confidence than I have. I'm comfortable with the 5.5, to be honest with you. Like I know they only beat them by 1 last time, but that was in Chicago. This is at home. Jared Goff is excellent at home, and I don't think the Bears are motivated to win this football game versus the Lions. Clearly are.
They better be.
Right. So
because they didn't look motivated on Saturday.
I think the Lions are going to look to bounce back pretty big time, and I think they need to. I think it's important for the building of the culture of this team.
And then I'm going to be watching the Packers game on Week 18 between 2 fingers.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll be honest with you. I am terrified of that game.
Yep.
After the look I saw on Aaron Rodgers' face, that was scary. That was the most confident I have seen Aaron Rodgers in like 5 years. After that, honestly, most confident I've seen him since the RELAX. Relax.
Damn.
It was scary.
They're field goal favorites against the Vikings on Sunday.
That's terrifying.
So,
and you know, you can say he's arrogant all you want. He definitely is. You're not wrong, but there is an extreme amount of confidence that he's got. For him to come out and say, well, one of those teams is just now 500, that was a shot. And that was a confident shot.
Yeah.
Because he knows damn well he's going to be ruining the line. He's going to be trying to ruin the Lions' hopes.
Yep.
So let's go Vikings. Let's go Lions.
Let's go Vikings. Let's go Lions.
So moving on now to New Year's resolution. So the way we want to do this is we're basically going to be acting as the local teams and giving our New Year's resolutions as those teams. So Andrew, go ahead and take it away.
I'm going to go with my first New Year's resolution to have a breath of fresh air for the teams in this town. And that breath of fresh air is a new head coach of the Detroit Pistons.
Okay. Your New Year's resolution is to give the Pistons a new head coach.
Yep.
Like it. Is that immediate? Please say yes.
And preferably immediate, but in the new year.
Okay.
I don't want to be sitting here next year and like he's still the head coach.
Well, I mean, like immediate as in like January 1st, Wayne Casey fired.
But yeah, because really
they have actually shot him out of a cannon. Okay, I like it.
That's step one, and I'm going New Year's resolution as step one is get a fresh face in here.
I like it. I hope that comes true January 1. My first New Year's resolution is, I'm going to go Pistons related also, is to put up more shots in practice because they clearly need shooting practice. And that is to just practice shooting more and get better because everybody needs it on that team.
Yeah.
Everybody. And to put in more effort defensively.
You just took my next one. Okay. They know we're doing two first.
I'm gonna try to do one for each team.
Yeah, this is my second one is for the Lions, and it's all culture. My New Year's resolution is to capture what you have right now and carry it into the next through the rest of the year, hopefully into the playoffs in the next season. Because I do feel like if you are able to capture the spirit of what you're doing right now and carry the next season, you are a playoff team next year. If you maintain this culture throughout the offseason and into next season,
and you add talent to it, you got a playoff team. Yeah. I agree with you there, 100%. Like I definitely think you're right. I'm going to say my New Year's resolution is for Dan Campbell. And
never let me see a performance against Carolina ever again.
Yes.
Thank you.
My New Year's resolution is for Dan Campbell and the coaching staff is to watch every single game and film from every single game over and learn from my mistakes in terms of clock management and decision making. Learn from your mistakes and don't make them again. Because that's how he's going to need to, because he's going to be put in a lot of tough spots. And he needs to be able to make the right decisions. So learn from your mistakes, Dan Campbell.
I like that.
Do you have any others for the Pistons or Lions?
No.
No?
The other stuff I have for the Pistons was Christmas gift related, which is what we did last week. So
right. Do you have a different gift you want for the Pistons?
No, it would have been right back to what we were saying for the Christmas gifts. Yeah.
Health?
There you go. Give me a healthy kid. So there was a topic. There was a question someone threw on Reddit, and I was trying to find it before the show, and I think the person must have deleted it because it was literally this morning. It's just not there anymore. But they were saying, if you could have one of three happen for the Pistons, what would it be? And it was have Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey be top 10 in their respective positions. We had the number one pick this offseason, give Victor Wembanyama.
Oh.
And then I cannot remember what the third one was, but the 1 and 2 were far and away ahead of the rest in terms of
when you say top 10. Are we talking they're both 10, the 10th best, or are we talking
it becomes a top 10 backcourt in the NBA?
Ooh, because then you're looking at what the Cavs have, frankly, with Garland and Mitchell. That is, ooh, That is so.
But actually,
intriguing.
if it's both top tens, it's probably a top five backcourt in the NBA.
Yeah.
To be honest, but like,
Yeah. Right. So you're saying, would you rather have a top five backcourt or Victor Wembanyama? Oh, that is tough. Oh man.
So there were people that like were kind of cheating, but I don't disagree with their logic, and they were saying like, "Give me Victor Wembanyama because I believe this backcourt can be a top five backcourt, anyways."
Cheating.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Cheating. Basically, by saying you're going after Victor Wembanyama, you say that Jaden Ivey does not pan out.
Yeah.
That is what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is a world where both can happen. Don't get me wrong.
But I think
it actually is a fairly realistic world in all reality.
Yeah. And remember, the option for Victor Wembanyama did not say Victor Wembanyama pans out. It just says you get Victor Wembanyama.
I'm going to say, give me the top five backcourt.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the 2 stars.
Obviously,
that
if you can guarantee Victor
Wembanyama
pans out, then it's Victor Wembanyama easy.
Well,
but
I don't know.
If Victor Wembanyama pans out, it's a Hall of Famer. Like,
okay, but if Cade's a top 5 point guard for his, in the league for his entire career, that's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, there's 2.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily get that in the Victor Wembanyama situation.
Oh, true.
Cade may not pan out then.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to give me 2 instead of 1 kind of thing.
Give me the guarantee.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I don't disagree with that logic. I like it.
Like, because I think if you have a top 5 backcourt in the NBA, you're automatically a playoff team, and you're able to get another star with the $40-some-odd million in cap space you got. You can add to this.
Yeah.
So I think I'd rather take that. Like, I really like Victor Wembanyama, and I desperately would love to see him in a Pistons uniform. And I hope, pray to God that the lottery odds are in our favor and we get him.
Yeah.
But I would rather have the guys we got now actually playing at their fullest potential. So I think having 2 all-stars on your team is better than having the 1.
Yeah.
And granted, there is a scenario where, Victor Wembanyama is your all-star, but Cade's also an all-star, but Jaden Ivey didn't pan out. Fine. But we don't know if Wembanyama's going to be able to hang yet.
Yeah.
All signs point to yes until someone snaps him like a twig.
Yeah.
Anyways, that is going to call for this week, guys, unless you have anything else to add.
No, that pretty much covers it.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. Follow us on Twitter at Real Fan Report. Thank you to Detroit Sports Podcast at Detroit Podcast, where you can find them. We hope you guys enjoyed your Christmas holidays, and we hope you guys have a happy New Year. We thank you guys and
a safe one.
And a very safe one, yes, obviously. Don't drink and drive. There are ways to get free Ubers on New Year's this year, as there are every year. Or I think there's even like tow companies that'll give you a free tow. Like, they'll drive you home and bring your car back. What a deal. For free.
Shit, I might do that.
Right? But just please stay safe. And as always, guys, thank you so much for listening to us for yet another year. It is always a pleasure. Andrew and I love doing this show. I think I can comfortably speak for both of us in that. And without
No.
Andrew hates it. I hold him to the show against his will.
I'm held hostage for 1 hour every week.
But we thank you guys very much. We hope you guys enjoy the show and enjoy where this journey has gone and where it's going to continue to go. Because we got a lot of things over the years that we've got planned coming up. So, but thank you guys again. And this has been the Fan Report Wars by fans.
For fans.
For the last time this year. But we'll be back next year. Enjoy it. Happy New Year. Thank you. Peace out.
On to 2023.